Hey, Wanda, can you hear me? Hey, Wanda, can you hear me? Here we go. Hey, Wanda, can you hear me now? Shit. Hey, Wanda, can you hear me? Hey, I can't hear y'all. That's the problem. Hold on one second. Source. Hold on. I'm here, y'all. Hold on one second. I'm trying to figure this out. Problem solve. Who's the book on? Okay, paired. Bam, there we go. Can y'all hear me now?
What happened?
I'm in my truck on my way back, and I don't know. This has been an interesting couple of days. My truck just did something weird, and it wouldn't it focused on Joe Rogan, a podcast I was listening to the other day, and it wouldn't listen to y'all. So I had to disconnect it.
Oh, I see. I know what
Oh,
you're talking about.
hold on one second. Yeah, but it's all good now because it's back up. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry for that hiccup. I'm on the road on my way back to Atlanta, and I've been having a very interesting couple of days. So a big blessing is coming my way. That's how, in my lifetime, when things get all crazy and all types of things start going to hell all at once, that means something bomb as hell is coming my way. So I am not sweating it. Today we're gonna talk about the topic is, are Pan-Africans having an identity crisis? And what is the FBA identity? What is that? Who are we? That's the issue right there. That's the key. That's the big gaslight. And really, in my opinion, if my opinion means anything, that's the problem, is we don't know who we are. But you know what? I get the feeling that a lot of other groups know who we are. So we're going to look at this. Are Pan-Africans having an identity crisis? What do I mean by that? Well, let's look at a little history. History, as Professor James Smalls identifies, history erases the mystery. So what is Pan-Africanism? Where did it come from? It came from Dr. Martin Delany, one of the first foundational Black American military officers. He made Major Officer 05 in the Army. He was a physician. Also, the first Black man to go to Harvard Medicine. He was a medical doctor. Well, Martin Delany, this is very critical and very key to history. Martin Delany was Gullah Geechee. I think he was from North Carolina. I didn't know that Gullah Geechee went that far, but that's beside the point. I know they were in South Carolina. But Martin Delany was Gullah Geechee, so he had cultural, what Dr. John Henry Clark would call cultural continuity with African mainland. Gullah Geechees, I don't know much about them. Maybe Wani knows more, but I do know that they have a direct connection to the mainland Africa. I know that from Professor James Smalls because he's Gullah Geechee. But anyway, Martin Delany had a really good friend who was equally as smart as him, maybe even smarter. See, smarts don't have shit to do with a degree. Smarts have to do with smarts. You know what I'm saying? And oftentimes in my career, I'm not the smartest guy. I'm just lucky. I had a grandmother who was a school teacher, and I had a dad who pushed education, and I had a lot of luck. Because I was broke. I had scholarships come out of nowhere, and just I'm just circumstance. I'm not smart. Some of the smartest people I met in my life didn't finish college, didn't go to college. Some of them didn't even finish high school, and they're just geniuses. My grandmother said that she taught in DC public schools for 52 years, and she said basically she said that smart people get kicked out of school because they start figuring out that school's a waste of time. And they start doing shit to make money, and the teachers are like, "We need to get rid of him. He's a troublemaker." Well, anyway, why am I bringing that whole diatribe up? I'm bringing it up because Frederick Douglass was a good friend with Martin Delany. And Frederick Douglass, I don't know if Frederick Douglass finished elementary school. I don't know that. Frederick Douglass was brilliant. Frederick Douglass didn't go to nobody's school of law, but he had sense enough to locate President Lincoln at a critical point when Lincoln was getting his ass whooped by the Confederate Army. And then Frederick Douglass had the sense enough to bargain with something he had control over, which was foundational Black American men. And he had the sense enough to let Lincoln know, hey, I can help you win this war, but I want something in return. I know brothers right now who offer their skills for free. I'll help you. I call it the Jim Crow Clyburn effect. What I look like wanting something. I don't want nothing. I'm gonna give you everything I got, but I don't want nothing. I'm ashamed of wanting something. A lot of brothers got that attitude, but guess who didn't? Frederick Douglass. Frederick Douglass said, "Hey man, I'm gonna give you these brothers. They want to fight. They want to cut off some heads because they were enslaved. However, if I give you these brothers, you gonna give us our motherfucking freedom." And Lincoln came back at his ass too. Lincoln was a very smart attorney. He said, "Oh yeah, sure. I'm gonna give you freedom. I'm gonna emancipate all of you." And then went over. In law school they teach you Latin terms, and the only reason I thought of when I was in law school is you learn these Latin terms is to talk to other attorneys and stuff, and to kind of talk when people don't know what the fuck you talking about. You like a secret language. You're speaking Latin and nobody speaks Latin. It's a dead language. But lawyers and dentists and shit. Well, like when I was in law school, they have a thing called repsis loquitur. The white boy said repsis loquitur, but repsis loquitur means the thing speaks for itself. So somebody walks into a gas station and slips up on a puddle. So you walk in there, you see an old lady and it's a puddle on her feet and she busts her head wide open. Well, that speaks for itself. Like, okay, well, she slipped on a puddle. So res ipsa loquitur, or as a white boy said, reps ipsa loquitur. But that's, an example of Lincoln's game of, oh, yeah, sure, I'm going to emancipate you. Got him. Emancipate means transfer in Latin, but that's a whole nother story. So in conclusion, in its origins, Pan-Africanism came from Martin Delany, because Martin Delany, and he meant well. Pan-Africanism did not start out oppish. It started out as, hey, you know what? Let's reach back to Mother Africa and rekindle our bonds with the mainland. Well, here's the problem, ladies and gentlemen. That works for Martin Delany. That works for Professor James Smalls because they're Gullah Geechee. But that don't work for me. And that didn't work for Frederick Douglass, who was mixed up just like me. Me and him have a lot in common. My family was raped up on them. You can look at my picture, look at my hair, look at my face, look at my eyes. We was raped up on that. And I'm proud of saying that shit, man. You know what I'm saying? Because we're survivors. I'm a survivor. But we were raped on the plantations of Aniana, Alabama. And that caused all kind of confusion. But my point of bringing this up is the whole Pan-Africanism doesn't work for Frederick Douglass, a biracial or a multiracial foundational Black American. It didn't work for him because he had no cultural continuity with Africa. Fuck, he had cultural continuity with Europe and all kind of places, like most of us in America, right? So, in conclusion, Pan-Africanism was taken over. Make a long story short, it was co-opted by a bunch of ops who allegedly worked for the government, including but not limited to what's that sucker's name? Everybody wants to praise Marcus Garvey. Lord. And it was infiltrated, and what'd you say? Go ahead, Wani.
I
I'm
was just going to say, for Marcus Delaney, he has a direct connection to Africa, you say. Do you remember how he said he had a direct connection?
Well, the history books say, oh Lord, hold on one second, this damn fool. The history books say he was Gullah Geechee. So
I know. So am I.
oh
What's the
wow.
connection?
Well,
What's the connection?
That's funny. I'm just assuming. I don't know. I'm on the road. I'd have to look at it, but if I can paraphrase it, if you don't mind, it says something
Mhm.
like, um, he had family members and he spoke that language, whatever that language is that Gullah Geechee speak, and
Mhm.
he understood African culture and he loved his Gullah Geechee family, and he just kind of treated all foundational Black Americans like we all were Gullah Geechee.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, from what I can tell, they don't have a connection. Like, basically, what they are is they came over, uh, like other enslaved people, but they didn't get as much admixture and they were able to stay. Like, it wasn't one of those plantations, I guess, where you're just being sold left and right. They were able to form some sort of family, and they were able to weave baskets and keep speaking with, but they still spoke English. They were able to speak with an accent. Maybe they know some of the words. I wish the Gullah Geechee person was in here. My great grandfather is from that same area. He didn't he didn't do any of that stuff. But I that would even make me more resentful toward Africa. What? Like, reach back to Mother Africa where you just got kicked to the curb? I mean, reach back to what? What are you reaching back to? The place where you were told to walk through the doors of no return, or reach back to the tree of forgetfulness, or reach back to the people that just tried to have you thrown to the sharks? I mean, who and what is he reaching back to? Does he mention that? Because I don't see the difference between being raped into a whole new ethnicity or being left to your own devices and being less raped if you still had the same thing to happen to you. You still got kicked to the curb by Mother Africa, call CPS. This is not a good person. I just don't understand why he would take that. I mean, I get we all respond to experiences differently. We do. Some people's mothers kick them to the curb and they keep going right back for more.
Yeah,
Other people's,
that's that's a good point. When disrespect is normalized in a household, disrespect and abuse seems fucking normal. Like, and I'm kind of an open book with that type of stuff because I came from a very fucked up home. One of these days, when I reach the pinnacle I want in life, I'm gonna write an autobiography. And just to help people, because people assume that my life was all roses and shit. I don't know why people have always thought that, but my life was a hot fucking mess. But back to the topic at hand, um, I grew up in a household where my father was a Vietnam era, and he wasn't that old. He joined the Vietnam War. He volunteered for that shit when it was almost over in the 70s, which is I'm very proud of him for doing. But anyway, he got caught up in the Navy, and naval culture is a bunch of alcohol. So he couldn't kick it. You know what I'm saying? So I grew up in my childhood in the 90s of just, alcoholic household, yelling, pots being thrown and shit. And I didn't know that wasn't normal. Right. So I turn around and marry somebody who's from a very quiet household. And in the early uh, weeks of my marriage, I was like, oh my God, the fucking house is too quiet. I would keep up noise because noise is normal. Now I'm saying that to say back to your point about Martin Delaney, I had to go I had to go to counseling to figure that one out. But anyway, back to Martin Delaney, yeah, that's a good point. Maybe he was from such an abused background that he viewed that abuse of Mother Africa as some norm. And the reason why I really take credence to that is because looking back on his story at Harvard, Harvard abused the motherfucker out of him. Like they let him, he was obviously brilliant to get accepted to Harvard Medical School back then. I mean, it's hard now. But they just made fun of him the whole time he was there. They let him get to medical school is 4 years, y'all. They let him get to his third year and they kicked him out. But back then, you could still pass medical boards even without the degree. So he became a physician, thank God. But yeah, he was a very abused person. Martin Delaney was dark complected. He was deep chocolate, and he came up in a time where light skinned brothers ran the planet. But back to the whole point is him and historical canon reports that him and even his best friend Frederick Douglass would get in heated arguments about Africa. Frederick Douglass had Wani's sentiment. He couldn't stay. He's like, that's not our home. The United States of America is ours. But Frederick Douglass also got in trouble for supporting white women. But anyway, I digress. Good point, Wani.
Yeah, I'm just trying to find out if he came directly from there. I don't think so. Or if he just got these romanticized views about it from his mother or someone on the plantation. Do you remember?
I'm hazy on that. I think I'm almost sure somebody Googled it. Google it because I'm on the road. I can't Google it, but I'm almost sure he was born in North Carolina, maybe South Carolina, but I don't remember where he got his views from. But I do remember reading that he was Gullah Geechee. So I'm assuming, based on the testimony of Dr. Professor James Smalls, who I do remember, James Smalls said he grew up Gullah Geechee and in South Carolina. And James Smalls said his family members spoke a weird language, like broken English, pidgin English. And he said they went to church and they did weird things in church, which he thought was normal. And James said when he uh, visited Africa, or I mean, he may have gotten the Navy or something, but when he went abroad, he went to West Africa and he said, "Oh shit, this is the same thing that my parents, my big mama and them did in South Carolina. The same dances, the same traditions, the same baptisms, the same. So there was cultural continuity. But back to your back to your point, Wani. It's a good point. Maybe, and I love Professor James Smalls. Don't everybody get that out of context. But maybe Professor James Smalls is romanticizing it too. You know what I'm saying? Because the point of the matter is, Africa disregarded us, and I got evidence upon evidence. And then let me get something straight with y'all. I wish that wasn't true. I don't want to believe. I did not want to believe that Africa turned their back on us. I didn't want to believe that. I've never quite been a Pan-Africanist. I never made it that far, but I did fantasize the idea before Twitter. Actually, before going to West Africa. I'll go ahead.
Now, he says that he was born in Virginia and then he went to South Carolina.
That's it. I'm sorry. I said North Carolina. It's Virginia. That's right.
He's not even Gullah Geechee.
Well, the old book I have said he was Gullah Geechee. It may have been a typo, may have been a mistake, but
okay, but no, he probably just got over there with the Gullah Geechee people and just said that it was, it said his parents were born in the Niger Valley, West Africa, and were of Mandinka ethnicity, and his father was a prince. They always say that. So,
so his parents were Martin Delaney's parents were African.
mm-hmm.
Oh, got you. Didn't.
And he was born in West Virginia, but then he went to he settled in South Carolina and worked for the Freedmen's Bureau. So he just became enamored with it. He doesn't know anything about it.
He was I didn't know he was an anchor baby. That kind of changes a whole lot. And it explains a whole, my God, that explains. I've always wondered how in the hell did he get into Harvard Medical School back then? And how in the hell did he become a major in the United States Army back then? Because he wasn't us. That's how.
Well, it said he worked alongside Frederick Douglass in New York to publish. So he was working with Douglass on his newspaper.
Interesting.
That might be how he got some good connections because Frederick Douglass was connected.
Yeah, but
Um,
Frederick
and
Douglass, Frederick Douglass got it out the mud. Frederick Douglass did not have. I read his autobiography. It'll bring you to your goddamn
okay.
knees.
Yeah, definitely. He had all kind of issues, but he raised himself up. And if you were hanging out with him, you would have some good connections or at least some press.
I read his biography. I have his biography, and it's fucking terrible.
It
And
is.
it's inspirational because the little shit you go through, I go through, I'm going through. Ain't got shit on that. I mean, ain't no way. How the fuck do you beat those odds?
Hey,
Anyway,
I
Hey,
what's up? Hey.
I had a question. I missed it. I was getting my food together, my pre-bed nap. I mean my pre-bed snack. Um, where did you say Delaney was from?
Well, it says West Virginia,
Hmm.
and he died in Ohio, but he after the Civil War he went to the South, settling in South Carolina.
So I thought you said he wasn't us, or you're saying he didn't come
No,
from slave
he's
stock.
Black American,
Okay.
but because he's came over here very early during the ethnogenesis.
Hmm.
That's not what I'm saying.
Okay.
What
no,
I'm
no, I
saying
said
is he's not
that.
Gullah Geechee.
I
Okay.
said that.
Okay.
Let me clarify. I said that, and the reason why I said that is Wani educated me and taught me that his parents were African, and I didn't know that. So, given the fact his parents are African, that makes him, and I'm, no disrespect to our African brothers and sisters, but does that make him foundational Black American, or isn't he like kind of like an anchor baby?
Yes. No,
So that's what I'm saying.
no, he's not an anchor baby
Okay.
because he was born over here in 1812.
Oh, you're
So,
right. So he made the 1870. Okay, that's it. Gotcha.
hmm
Gotcha.
hmm
That's clever.
So were his? Are we saying that his parents were enslaved or not enslaved?
it just said they were born in, what did they say? His parents were born in Niger Valley, West Africa. He's Mandinka. Um, I don't think that they were over here.
Mm,
Looks like he just got snatched up.
And
interesting.
I'm from
And so,
Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. He lived and worked in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania for a long time. And if you are familiar with that time period, a lot of people from Pennsylvania started the AME Church. So a lot of his ideas probably came from a lot of his comrades in that city who started the AME Church and other societies. I mean, they were all African societies, African education societies, the African freedom, not African freedom, African. Uh, it was just African everything, African societies, all type of from Philly all the way to Pittsburgh to Ohio to Boston.
I'm trying to
I
figure out
think,
if his parents were here. I'm still
yeah,
looking.
because I think, I mean, I guess we'll come out, but to my mind, here I am, conspiracy theory man. But he would be a prime example. Okay, he's dark skinned, so he's not light skinned, so he's kind of out, sort of kind of outcast. He's not rooted here if his parents aren't actually here, or if they were here and maybe
No,
they
they
were in.
were. The father was here, the mother was free.
Father was enslaved and mother was free.
Yes.
Okay, all right, I'll leave it alone then.
That's very interesting, Wani. I didn't know all this.
Yeah, neither did I.
I find it equally as fascinating that he is foundational Black American because he was here doing all this before the 1870 census. That is interesting. Carry on.
Now it says his grandparents were born in Africa. His paternal grandparents were Gola from Liberia. So they were, yeah, this is interesting. So his father was enslaved and he was born here. I don't know why his mother's free.
So he was semi rooted here because here's my thing. they choose people who aren't truly rooted in order to plant ideas, right? To plant things into our group, and we see that now. We see that as you guys are getting to with Pan Africanism. They choose people who are not rooted in our experience, and they place things into our consciousness that are incongruent with who we are and what we are. Does that make sense?
No, that's perfectly right. Like, that's the pattern that I joined X to try to teach my if y'all, all of y'all are my extended family, to teach family, man. Like, it's the same fucking tactic over and over and over again.
We lost you, Professor. I can't hear him. I could be. I
So
can't
I
hear him.
can't either. So I can't understand how he could be Gullah Geechee and speaking anything, um, not with his background, unless his father was held on in South Carolina, which is a possibility. I just don't know where his father was held.
Yeah,
But
or
he was born in
maybe he was a
Virginia.
maybe his father was a recent African slave. Maybe that's it. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
If his father was relatively recent and may not be rooted in this shit, he's like, hey, we got to get my son's going to be different. He's not going to be like the rest of these niggas. You know what I mean?
And then fantasizing about going back.
Yeah. And then somebody in the military seeing that seed planted in him, saying, okay, I am not like these. Just say he is in those spaces saying, I'm not like these other people. My mother was free and my father's from Africa.
Ladies and gentlemen, and I'm gonna give y'all a quick warning. I'm moving. My wife and I are moving the last of our stuff out of Memphis. We're on our way back to Atlanta. I'm in my truck pulling my little race car behind me, and she's in front of me in the U-Haul. So if we might, when we get in the mountains, my signal may go low, and Wani and Nikki will just pick up. So if I stop talking, just know my signal went low, but it'll pick back up. But my wife called me a minute ago. It was an emergency as a drunk driver. But anyway, back to the point, because the gentleman brought up that shit was spectacular. What you just brought up, yes. That's the tactic that I want to make y'all aware of that happens over and over and over again. Our brother Tariq Nasheed, or I think he called them one trick ponies. But to find the tactic is as follows: find somebody black looking person doesn't have allegiance to foundational black Americans, then exalt this person, admit him into Harvard, whatever. We see it over and over again. It's tired. That's what happened to fucking let me help y'all see it. Martin Delaney, first black man to Harvard Medical School, big deal, right? Spreading Pan-Africanism. And I don't think Martin was a bad person, but government agencies know what they're doing. These people are brilliant. They play chess. Let's go a little bit further. Another Pan-Africanist, W. Du Bois, mixed heritage. Harvard, first black man to go to Harvard, get a PhD from Harvard, which he flaunts all over. When you go to Accra and you go to the museum, you see it all over. You know, was that intentional? Was Du Bois given that degree from Harvard, allowed to attain that degree from Harvard with conditions? And let's keep moving.
Mm-hmm.
Barry Obama, was he? What was
Yep. Top of the
Barry
list.
Obama? First editor, the
Of
first
the
one.
Harvard, yeah, the Harvard.
So the highest honor in law school is review. It's an honor like FBA, but like at law school, in law schools are good ones. They have law review. So that's like the officers who they make decisions on law. Some of that stuff is thing, but some senators and shit will look at it and say, "Damn, well maybe I need to change this law." Very high honor. Barack was the first black man to be on law review at Harvard. Is that a mistake? Is that a coincidence? Y'all see the game? This is the game. It's how the game is played. But anyway, I digress.
Yeah, it was like somebody like Drake. Let's say that it's come to modern times. Somebody like Drake, who is of us but is not rooted
Hello.
in us. You know, so he could be a Judas goat, so to speak.
Now you're seeing it. Yep.
That's
It-
interesting. Yeah, it looks like that's his. It looks like he just thinks that Africa is better. And if you're enslaved, everything's better if you're enslaved.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
I don't blame his father for wanting to go back. But uh, still, you're going to have to address how you got on that slave ship and who put you on there.
yeah, and the issue with the Africa story I can relate to is from a personal level is a lot of and hold on, let me say this. West Africa is fucking gorgeous. It's the most beautiful place I've ever seen. But a lot of gaslighting goes on about some magical place. And although it is magical, I got some evidence to show that it's magical, very magical. Some of you know what I'm talking about. But a lot of gaslighting goes on to make us believe that it's a place where we have a long lost family that's waiting on us. When historical canon proves to me over and over and over and over and fucking over again, different scholars, different books, articles, PhDs galore. PhD Palooza talks about how Africans sold us. They were complicit in the slave trade. Early in Twitter, my Twitter experience, I would often get in trouble for telling my story at the slave dungeons at Cape Coast at Elmina. Um at Elmina Castle, where my dad's side of the family probably was sold from. They charged me an admission fee to go up in that motherfucker. And then charged me again, attempted to charge me again, rather, because I had a camera that I used to collect evidence with the college I used to teach for. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, how dare you charge me from some shit you sold me from? In conclusion, I noticed around these areas by the two Cape. So, Elmina is the big one, but you can look, you get by the cannons and you can look off in the distance and see Cape Coast, a whole nother slave castle where Americans were sold. So um, my dad probably was side of the family probably was sold from Cape Coast, but what people don't tell you is we were split up. So Caribbeans and Jamaicans, we weren't even like the same tribes. Nobody wants to talk about that. The Caribbeans were sold from Elmina, the castle I visited, and Americans were sold from Cape Coast. But my point of bringing this up is surrounding Cape Coast and Elmina were neighborhoods that looked very old. And it fucking pissed me off because I was like, man, these people could have rose up and fucking broke us out of there. They didn't. Right? Why did they not raise up and break us out of it? I mean, if in Memphis or fucking Detroit, we find out there's a castle somewhere where black girls are being sold and abused, and little black boys are in chains being whooped and sold, man, you know what we gonna do? We riding, man. We gonna pull up and fucking break them out. We gonna pull some Asada Shakur type shit. So I was wondering why that didn't happen, and it just dawned on me when he tried to charge me again for that camera. I was like, oh, this some money shit right here. That's what this is. You know what I'm saying? This ain't about um all about the evil European, although the European was eviler than a motherfucker holding church while he was raping females. That's a fact. The Dutch would hold church, Christian church, while they were raping women in the courtyard. How that work? Math that for me. But anyway, there was a lot of complicity from Africa, and there still is. Deal with it.
Yeah, I'm looking right now. I was trying to find to see if I can find a publication from his newspaper, The Mystery, but I read that in there he got a lot of support from the women, the black women of Pittsburgh. And one of the things he used to talk about was the ancestral connection to Africa. That was like a main focus of the publication.
There it is.
So he used Frederick Douglass's newspaper to write these things, I wonder, since he was working there,
Interesting.
about how great it was. And Frederick Douglass did not have that point of view. When you read some of the quotes from Harriet Tubman, Frederick Douglass, and others, they don't have that point of view of going to Africa.
This is
They're rooted here.
this is one of them spaces where I'm starting to learn more than I'm teaching, which I love. But I'm seeing the whole picture now in a way I've never seen it before. Martin Delerney was officer, Army, So great officer, that's a big deal.
Let me hear you breaking up.
I got one bar. Wani,
Yeah,
go ahead and
pretty
talk.
bad.
Yeah. Who was next?
What's up, Wani? How you doing?
Good. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. Let's see. Are Pan-Africans have an identity crisis? Yes, they are, but they always are. It's very interesting. We had a space earlier this week, and one of the Pan-African thought leaders, came and said the quiet part out loud that FBA people have access to capital. A lot of people don't, and that very capital is what they want to use to fund this Wakanda dream that only they believe in, only that we believe in. So I just thought that was interesting, and I do think we have a. You
What
said what
room
now?
were you in?
It was my room. Was having a conversation.
They were in there saying that.
Well, it wasn't like I kind of. So I framed the question in a way where he had to answer it truthfully, because they don't say the quiet part. So I was like, all right. So what we was talking about was our how can I put this? The way we deal with Europeans here in America versus how they deal with them is different, right? Because we fought for the ability to kind of create our own destiny, and we fight back against them. So we have more access to things that they don't have access to. You see what I mean? And he had to admit that because the point was so solid. And then that's when we kind of segued into that's really the reason why they hardcore want, FBA on their team, because of the access to capital we have, versus how they don't really care about the Somalians, saying that they're not black and they hate black people, right? They don't really be on them like they be on us, even though we never say we hate black people. We just say we're different. And it's the same thing that they say. They just don't like it when we say it. So I don't think we're having an identity crisis. I mean, we always been who we are. I mean, we're gonna be who we are. It's in our DNA. It's who we are. But they have always had an identity crisis. I think this is funny though. How y'all doing though? You back, Professor?
Yeah, I'm back. I got some bars. I'm on the road, and I get in the mountains every once in a while. But anyway, back to the point was I'm seeing something that's really fascinating me. I didn't know what the information Wani dropped about Martin Delaney's parent. I didn't know that, and now it's starting to make sense to me. Well, I was talking about his rank, and I've never been in the army, but I know becoming an officer, especially a field grade officer, is a very political thing. I can speak from the total force community. When you make lieutenant, that's at squadron level. So you make second lieutenant butter bar at squadron level, and first lieutenant I think is still at squadron level, but captain officer is region. So the region votes on you. So what am I saying? I'm saying that
The I'm sorry. The captain level is at unit level.
Company. So company
Yeah,
commander.
company level. Yeah, company
So
level.
you
well
get.
in
But,
the
but
in the
I get where you're going. I get where you're going. I get where you're going.
in Air Force, Space Force, that's region. So the company, battalion, those words don't exist. So it's a squadron. And my point is that 03 captain is at region. So southeastern region or whatever. Hold on,
Yeah,
what
there's
my
only
wife say?
12 of them. I'm just messing with you. Go ahead.
Yeah, no,
Oh, I'm yelling.
it makes sense. It makes sense because they have to cover the entire Earth. This is space. But at the company level, which is like it's squad, platoon, your platoon leaders. You got the XO, then you got the commander. XO can be normally a first lieutenant. Second lieutenant's butter bar.
Right.
But
Is
I
my
get what
mic
you're
better?
saying.
My car is acting a fool today, so I'm just using my speakerphone. So if I'm loud, you just let me know. Is that better,
No,
Wani?
you good. Perfect. Perfect.
Okay. So also let me know if you can't hear me. But so check this out. The reason why I said that. So let me ask you this. I got some soldiers in here. In the Army, what is the major? What is 04? Where does that come in play? How do you
That's
make 04?
battalion level.
It's
So
battalion level. Yeah,
Battalion.
So
yeah,
so you
battalion
got the
XO. Yeah,
battalion level, then you got the brigade, but battalion is over the companies, and then it's normally lieutenant colonel and then a major as an XO.
Got it. So this is my point. Martin Delaney made 04 back then. So they didn't vote on him being, you know what I'm saying? They didn't vote on somebody radical to be '04. That happened. Oh my God. That never happens. Like you got major officer is feel grade. Like you're too much, you know too much, you got too much control. You have to be safe. Would y'all agree with that? It's a safety thing.
Yeah,
Like
you got to be at
Yeah,
least
at that
10
time,
plus years in
definitely.
to get major, unless you like really exemplary.
right. So if Martin made major back then, I'm just begging a question. That's all. What's the chance that there was some intent to use him to?
What year was this?
I'm not sure. 18 something.
Well, see, a lot of that has to do with troop morale too.
Huh.
So, like, all
Not if
right,
they're grooming him for something specific.
yeah, exactly, yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
That's my point.
So, so you get people to obey more when you have somebody who looks like them in a position of high power, right?
Right.
And get you to think this is achievable when it's not. You know, it's kind of like the carrot and the stick situation.
yeah, but
Right.
also, but some majors, they could be like some general's cadre, right? That
Right.
just because that's what this sounds like. Some general had
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, yeah, yeah.
general
That
levels will have
happens.
their own. They have their own staff, right? So I can choose. I can bet if I'm a 2 star or even a 1 star, I can pretty much choose who I have on my staff and what rank they're going to be,
And you got to
right?
have certain. You got to have certain rank to get certain clearances.
Yeah, yeah, but what I'm saying is, so if I say I'm a
I'm agreeing
general,
with you.
yeah, yeah. So if I say if I'm a general, I say okay, I got a slot for a major on my staff, but I need to oversee the grooming of this particular person. I get that person, regardless of what everybody else says. I'm going to get that person. The army is going to make sure I get, and especially as small as the army was back then. Yeah, to my mind,
No,
this seems like
this is good.
somebody
So
Yes.
it leads to the point. This is
There
politics.
we go.
yeah,
Thank you.
I think so. I think somebody saw this guy and it's like, okay, there is a hole in his upbringing that we can exploit. His
Right.
yearning, his yearning, not even though as dark as he is, he's yearning not to be these other people, and we can exploit that and plant
Model
him in
citizen.
spaces to seed the information we want him to seed, and he won't even know he's being planted.
Right.
That's all I got.
That's the best.
But yeah, but
That's the best type of operative. We call that. That they in the intelligence world, that is
a
called
useful idiot.
what a useful idiot. Yes, yes, yes. Or unwitting, useful idiot, unwitting. What's the
Unwitting
what?
accomplice.
Accomplice, yeah, unwitting
Yeah,
accomplice.
yeah. But
Unwitting accomplice.
that's a useful idiot. Let's go back to Africa, y'all. He don't even know.
But see, that's the thing, though, right? Like, and oh, you just talking about when they funded Liberia and shit like that.
Yeah.
But see, that's the thing, though. A lot of people, and I say this, once you buy into the shit they sell you, you become a tool in your own oppression, and that's the best type of tool for me.
Right.
If I can get you to unwittingly sabotage your own people, I'm going to do it every time. If I have something to gain for it, because then if you fail, they kill you, I lose nothing. If you succeed, I win everything. So it's like a win-win for them. And if you know our government, they rarely do win losses. They typically try to aim for win-wins. And this is not
Oh, they
just
love win-win.
yeah, win-wins. They set up win-wins all the time. And a lot of people, especially from this election cycle, we saw a lot of these niggas getting walked out of there as useful idiots, and now they taking the blame for it. I was just watching this thing on. Oh, never mind, that's going off subject. But yeah, but yeah, no facts. Useful idiots were definitely more common back in the days because they bought into that fallacy of equality, right? Like, oh yeah, 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 yeah. And
Yeah, and that.
then
I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
and then even getting that post, like Actify was saying, getting that post in his mind, like he probably shed tears thinking, I'm finally accepted. It's like, no, you're here for a very specific purpose.
Yeah, and I think we did see it. Like Roland, he's at least partially Haitian. Luke, he's from the Bahamas, and we saw it with a lot of. Ultimately, that's what they are is tethers who were in our mentions in our spaces, telling us you like RJ. He's a famous tether now because of Tariq spaces, telling us that we need to vote Democrat, knowing that they're being served and we're not. Right? They're being. I don't know if useful because they're not truly us. I don't know if useful idiot is what is what to title them, but ultimately, these people who were not rooted in us, they were weaponized against us because their faces are black and they've been around us a long time. They know the lingo. They know what buttons to press to get us into rabble rousing mode. Luckily we were.
Well,
Mhm.
bro. To your point, some of them straight up are agents.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
An agent in due course. They call them eight in law school is an agent in due course. I love that. It's a class in law school. I
Agent
love
in due
called
course. I like
agency
that.
incorporate.
Yeah.
Agent in due course, my friend. Principal agent and an agent in due course. But anyway, yeah, hell yeah, they agent because the agent knows what the fuck he trying to get and knows how he gonna get it. And that's what I saw at historical black college I worked at. I saw a bunch of Africans, professors and African students who were fucking agents. They knew they were assassins. They knew that they were character assassins on black students, on found FBAs, and the carrot that they were gonna get. The carrot was, you know what I'm saying, a ticket to med school. And it started to piss me off. And I wanted to know what I was looking at.
So,
Yeah.
so the bad part about the Pan-African identity crisis is that most of the Pan-Africans, like the Marcus Garveys, haven't been to Africa and don't have any connections at all. At least if you're going to be a Pan-African, have your father to tell you about how great it was and have a direct connection, which he did have. But the average Pan-African does not have that. And
Yeah,
so
but
they went around making up entire scenarios that were not true. Like it takes a village to raise a child, and they're not raising their children. They don't care. They have like 54 million orphans and all the
Facts.
other stuff about villages and caring about this and that and these great family units. And you're over there marrying 9-year-old girls and taking boys as wives and doing every manner of things that we always say that, oh, the white man told them to do it. No, they didn't. They were
yeah,
doing that because they had a woman shortage in one of the tribes and they just said, hey, let's have some boys.
yeah,
That's not something that, you don't replace women with 9-year-old boys, but whatever.
I,
Apparently the church thinks you do.
I
Go
think
ahead, Alpha.
I'm
That's
sorry.
the weird
I'm
part about
sorry
it is
because
that
let me get this off real quick. I had this theory. People talk about the Willie Lynch letter. I I have for the last, I guess, maybe 10 years. I get the feeling that the person that actually wrote Willie Lynch was an African. I don't know why, but the more I listen to these folks and the more I talk to these folks, who better to teach how to treat a slave from Africa than somebody who was a slave seller or somebody who comes from a long line of people who have sold people into slavery? Who better to write a letter like that? That's what I just want to get that off.
Bobby Hemmett had a series on that shit 20 years ago. Where he went in.
Oh,
Man. Oh man.
yeah. See, I'm
Hell
smart.
yeah,
I'm
Bobby.
smart. See,
Oh yeah, yes, sir. Bobby Hemmett said some deep shit along those lines, brother. Bobby Hemmett said he did some scholarship and he was following the logic and of who controls the slave trade and where this white supremacy things, the control of white supremacy on the whole world. And Bobby Hemmett said something very interesting. I'm gonna paraphrase our dear brother. What Bobby Hemmett said was he came to the conclusion that white supremacy came from knowledge that was rooted in Africa, and if that's true, then it's a good possibility that who's pulling all the strings to this big system is somebody who ain't white and somebody that does not want to be seen. You know where I'm going with this?
I,
That's Bobby Hemmett for you. I was like, holy shit.
I see what you're saying, but I am of a mind that that knowledge was commandeered from these folks, and they no longer are in control of the African folks. But I see what you're saying. I'm gonna leave that alone.
EDOMUTWA. Credo, and quickly, Credo was from what's that state that no longer exists? Uh it's Zimbabwe now, but it used to be called something else with the Germans.
Rhodesia.
Yeah. So he's from there and he's South African. But long story short, I don't want to bore y'all, but he's from a lineage of like shamans. I forgot they have a name. They no longer exist, kind of like Jedi. Where he had to go through this weird process to get access to knowledge. But Kratos said during his oral tradition, during his initiation into that order, he found out that the Illuminati is very real, and according to Credo, they left Europe and went all through Africa, all around the world, seeking out sacred knowledge and torturing people, which matches my scholarship. They tortured people until they found out sacred knowledge, and once they found out the sacred knowledge, they killed them and wrote it down. Now, I found some scholarship to show that this happened during the Crusades. The Crusades didn't have nothing to do about Christ. You better get that right. But
That I
yeah, Kratos said
believe.
that, so that kind of matches what you
That I
said.
believe. It was about treasure and knowledge. That's all it was about.
Yeah.
You sure it wasn't about taking back the Holy Land?
Forbidden knowledge.
You sure that was what it was about? It was a holy war. They were ordained by God. You trying to tell me that was a lie?
Not at all.
Wait,
Well,
could
they were
that be the
religious,
reason
but you
why?
know what that means.
Could that be the reason why a lot of people in the Middle East don't like Christians?
Yeah, you think?
You sure it's not because they're just hateful people? Maybe all those years of murdering men, women, children, and babies, and getting all those sins absolved. You sure? I don't know. It just seems like
and America
who
doesn't,
would do such a thing?
and America doesn't like the growth of Islam in any way, shape, or form. Yeah, we get it. Yeah.
You want to read some shit? Read "Sign and the Seal" by Graham Hancock. Holy shit, that motherfucker found the Holy Grail. I'm not the Holy Grail, the Ark of the Covenant. That shit is real.
Did you?
And I didn't
Graham
know
Hancock,
When did he
Graham
find?
Hancock's not a
Where
quack.
is it?
in Aksum, in a very small.
Oh, over there
I'm getting
where we all
chills.
know it is. Where those guys
Yeah, I'm
get
getting chills
cancer
thinking about it.
and cataracts for standing in front of it. Yeah, that's where
Hell,
it is.
hell, listen at this shit, y'all. So Graham in the early '90s did a lot of scholarship to find out where the Grail was. He got the vicinity to an area of Ethiopia where the Queen of Sheba lived that has these strange buildings. Nobody in the middle of nowhere, no roads. Nobody know how the fuck they were built. Anyway, so he couldn't get access. Nobody could get access to Aksum. So he bribed his running out of time. His visa was about to expire, but he bribed a fucking military pilot, an Ethiopian military pilot, to fly him there. But he only had 24 hours. So he got airdropped by a fucking Air Force pilot in Aksum. And he said the moment he landed with his entourage, he met the Falashas, a group of Falasha. These are jet black Jews. And he said he saw these beautiful fucking buildings that were just geometric and like computerized, like they were built with a 3D printer. And he was like, what the fuck? How'd they build these? There are no roads. And he asked the Falashas, he's like, how'd y'all build these big towers and building? And they were like, the little people helped us. Uh-oh. The little people? What the fuck do you mean by that? Long story short, he got a group of locals to take him to a small abandoned church. I mean, not abandoned, but like a raggedy church where they said the Ark of the Covenant was held. Well, he went there and all of a sudden, strange old men start appearing. And I just remember something's giving me chills. He said one of them, just a strange 70-year-old man with a cloak on, walked up to him. And Graham said, and he smelled it right away. Bam, frankincense. Undeniable. And he said, here comes another 70-year-old man, all in cloaks like Jedis. And they said, hello. And Graham was like, hey, I'm on limited time. I'm a scholar. I'm looking for the Ark of the Covenant. Is it here? And they were like, yes, it's here. And they were like, we're members of an old fraternity who protect people from the Ark. And Graham said, hold on one second. Don't you mean to protect the Ark from people? And the guy said, no, to protect people from the Ark. And he said at that moment, he looked at his eyes, like Wani said, and every last one of those men, it was like 10 of them, had cataracts over their eyes, and they had undeniable skin cancer growing on their face, like something was burning the fuck out of them. And the guy said that they get selected in their 60s, 70s to guard, to protect people from the Ark. And once they get selected for that fraternity, they don't live long.
That's
It's there.
radiation burns. That's radiation.
Yeah, it's something radioactive on it. But what is it doing? I mean, the Knights Templar was walking around with the Ark of the Covenant and the Holy Grail, and they didn't get burned up. So what's up with that?
Well, they did. The Templar. See, you have to watch. What's the rule of hermetic resonance? You have to watch Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. He talks about something that actually happened that you don't read in history. That's hard to find in history. It's in Graham Hancock. It's in Sign and Seal. The Germans went. Hitler went on escapades looking for biblical weapons and stuff, and he sent a battalion of fucking Germans with along with the Mussolini's men, the Italians, to Aksum, and they never came back. He sent a fucking battalion, and nobody knows what happened. They just disappeared out of history. But if you look at Indiana Jones in the Last Crusade, at the end, I think that's what the fuck happened to them. They went up there, they found it, and the Germans were trying to do the seances and shit that they. You have to keep in mind that psychology was stolen from Egypt, so the Germans know a whole bunch. And they went up there fucking with the Ark of the Covenant and got disappeared. The scholarship says that the Ark of the Covenant is a thing of fire. I don't know what that
Oh,
means, but it's
okay.
a thing of fire.
Okay, so Ethiopia has it, and Ethiopia is a whole. So it's not doing anything except giving everybody face cancer. Did they get any money? No. Do they have any peace? No. Can they dance? No. Do they have any good music genres? No. The food's the same. I'm not seeing the difference. Why are they holding it? It's a thing of fire. And that's it.
I don't know. Maybe it wants to be there, Wani. You know what I think? I think that the Ark of the Covenant, there's scholarship to show that it came from Egypt, and the pharaohs would use it. I think the Ark of the Covenant is some type of advanced
For
AI. I think it's a weapon, an ancient weapon that you know.
Yeah, I was gonna say weapon. I was leaning towards weapon.
Yeah, if you read it says in the Bible, and there's other
okay.
scholarship and you know how I feel about biblical scholarship, but some of that stuff is semi accurate. But
Okay, but Egypt
go
had
ahead.
it, and then what? They got conquered by the Greeks.
There you go.
This thing is not helping anybody? So what's the deal?
I don't. If you, I'm getting into speculation. I don't have scholarship to back up what I'm going to say, but this is my speculation. I think the art goes where it wants to go, and I think these people, if you read Sign and Seal, I think those that ancient fraternity of Ethiopian old men. I think there's something to that. They're protecting people away from that thing because that thing wants to be where it wants to be, and nobody's gonna
To do
like just
what?
snatch it. What?
To do what?
I don't know. That's a good question.
I'm not seeing what the Holy Grail and the Ark were doing. I mean, the Knights Templar were supposedly running around with it. They had a whole bunch of religious relics, and they had lots of money because they were escorting people to the Holy Land. And they basically created banking as we know it. But they still, after having all those religious relics, they still got hemmed up and had to disband. Some people say because they had so much money that they went underground. But how come people think the Illuminati is a conspiracy? It's an actual thing.
Yeah, it's provable. I mean,
Uh,
it's yeah,
it's a real organization founded um, in the 1700s.
yeah. Look up
Oh,
Adam Weishaupt. There was a German, and like me and Wani's always said, it all goes back to Germans. That's what I want to know. Wani, can you open a space on why does it always go back to the Germans
we're under German control right now. Um, yeah, right now.
in
Remember?
Trump German? But I'm gonna leave that alone. I'm gonna leave that
Mm.
alone.
No, it doesn't matter because um, the German Germanic tribes, toppled the Greco-Roman Empire,
Facts.
and they are the monarchy. Every royal house has German origins. So therefore, they were the colonists. They were the ones that wanted to explore. Doesn't matter whether the ship left from Portugal, still a German monarch. Doesn't matter whether the ship left from Spain, Habsburgs. It doesn't matter where the ship left from. to explore, it's still Germans. It's still Germans. Um, so they're in charge right now. And prior to that, it was a Greco Roman Empire, and everybody was Romanized and Hellenized. They were in control. Now they call those people names, they call them ethnic names. And yeah, we're under German control now until someone really gets rid of the monarchy and all of their colonist ways. Go ahead, seventh.
Oh, good
Yeah.
evening. Earlier, you guys were speaking about Delaney, and he's serving in the military. Did he serve during the Civil War? Because that could explain how he got his rank. Do you know if that's true?
I'm gonna look it up.
Anybody?
I'll look it up.
Yeah, because during times of war, you get promoted faster, and they may frock uh, lower ranking officers to higher ranking just because it's a war and people are dying off. You may have 20-some-year-olds
Hey, Wani,
being
somebody talking?
current colonels.
Yes, seventh is talking.
Okay, I can't hear you, Seven. Drop down and come right back.
You you
I'm
got to come
sorry.
back up. Sorry.
Yeah, I think I said what I wanted to say. I'll
No,
drop
come
out.
back up. Come back up.
It
Okay.
says he briefly dabbled in politics of Liberia and during the Civil War helped to recruit and organize black soldiers in the Union Army. Commissioned a major in 1865 after meeting
Oh,
Lincoln.
so he was involved with the ACS. Yeah, this nigga was groomed. Yeah, if he was involved with the creation of Liberia, yeah, he was groomed.
That's a very bad sign. Um, Probably trying to get another Liberia going or add
Yeah,
to it.
yeah, because this, to my mind, it sounds like this guy was a youthful Indian or he was an agent to try to push us into Liberia. Because I firmly believe that Liberia was just a colonization, a reverse colonization with black people. That's with black Americans. That's what it feels like to me. But I guess I know a lot of Caribbeans went out there too. But it was an American funded and American run operation.
A lot of the people that went were mulatto, and those white fathers were probably trying to just puppet them because that's something that um, the mulatto person would um, be the front man, be the brown face of it, and then behind the scenes, their daddies were getting money. So yeah.
So we're back at Drake now, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Well, his
Yes, we
mama. I
are.
guess his mama's that this case. Yeah, I got you.
Yep, we are. The
Yeah,
black. Oh, go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say, yeah, thank you. That's the pattern. It doesn't change. Go ahead, the black.
What's going on, everybody?
What's up, brother?
I was gonna say the exact same thing. When you really just look at it, when historians write the history of some of these folks, and they leave out one parent, or say the one parent is unknown, or it was a slave, and don't get a background of where the slave come from, because we all know slaves were very documented. Excuse me, but it mostly be like they from the Caribbean, and they are mixed breed ancestry, and they the useful, know what I'm saying, inbred. I wouldn't say inbred, but know what I'm saying, the useful breed, know what I'm saying, to come to the mainland and try to trick the folks out the land. Cause Marcus Delaney, his father was associated with uh the ACS. He was a preacher. So that's probably why he got involved in trying to get everybody to go to Liberia, and Frederick Douglass was fighting against that, and they was going back and forth with Leonard saying that even Frederick Douglass saying he was from her, and I put in the comments, uh, Frederick Douglass was the example in the Willie Lynch letter of how to, know what I'm saying, make a Negro. So I understand why he's the, like, the model Negro to look up to, as John Henry Clark used to say. But it's very conflating when you really just look at it. They try to blur the lines between a lot of people. But I'll leave it at that.
Just a second. Just hold it. Fatal Charade, can you say hello real quick?
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yeah. Where you from?
I'm from Lansing, Michigan.
Where your grandparents from?
From Copiah County, Mississippi, which is composed of Wesson and Brookhaven.
Okay.
Hmm. I know Mississippi pretty well. What part of Mississippi is that?
Well, my dad was born in Wesson, and my mom was born in Brookhaven.
Well, I mean, what
It's
part of
like
Miss?
all southern. It's like 2 hours north of New Orleans.
Okay, Brookhaven. Okay, all right.
But yeah, just to add, I just want to add to your point that someone talked about soldiers advancing in rank pretty quickly in the military, and I'm gonna just get right back off. I'm sure you guys are familiar with the name Nathan Bedford Forrest. Yeah, he went from being a private to a 3-star. I think it's 3-star within 3 years because of folks dying left and right.
Well, Nathan Bedford Forrest was a white American, so the standards back
Yeah,
then,
Pulaski, Tennessee. Yes, sir.
yeah, that's not relevant to our conversation. Like the ranking up in the military back then, and now, but especially back then, it was a separate standard for white men and black men. I mean, you
Yeah, I
know,
think he
yeah,
just
because like
meant
black men couldn't be commissioned
the speed of
officers back then.
promotion.
right there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to add that. I didn't. I just joined the space not too long ago, so I'll just, as they say on Tariq, she'll land my plane there.
Okay, cool.
I'm
Yeah, I
sorry,
was
I
just
cut off
struggling.
Actify Press. I apologize. I cut off Seventh Ward or Actify Press, and I know they were cooking, so please go ahead and finish whichever one you were that was speaking. I
I'm
apologize.
always cooking, ma'am. But no, go ahead. That's seventh ward, I think.
Okay, go ahead.
Nah, I'm good. I said what I wanted to say because, yeah, because like I said, during war, they will frock people. They'll promote them to a higher rank, but they won't get the pay grade. That happens all the time. So I was just wondering, like, if that's how he became a major.
May I direct you over to the supernatural part of the conversation so you can say next?
Do I gotta go there?
Yes. What do you think
Oh,
about the
okay. All right. Okay.
what do you
Okay.
think about the Ark of the Covenant and the Grail?
Okay. Let me sum this up really simple. I'm atheist. I don't believe in any of that stuff. Okay.
What
I
does
yield
that
the
have to do
mic.
with the what does that have to do with the magical grail and the stuff burning everybody's eyeballs out?
That's what they say. I don't know if that's true. I mean, come on. They gotta
They're
prove
standing
this.
they're standing there with their eyeballs burnt out. They won't let anybody go near it.
Well, let me near it.
You don't want to go over there, then your eyeballs will be on fire.
You're looking at Atlantean. You're looking with that. Let's talk about it. Let's do it. Let's talk about it. With that Ark of the Covenant, you're looking at proto Atlantean technology, a weapon. That's what you're looking at. I mean, why are we so stuck on stupid? I'm not calling you seven. I'm not calling you stupid. Don't infer that. I'm talking about America. How much evidence do we need? Um, when I was a little boy and I was interested in engineering, I used to get on MIT's website when I was in high school, and I would get on MIT www.mit.edu and fantasize about maybe going there. Never happened. I went right down the street to Harvard, but anyway, that's a whole nother story. But anyway, at mit.edu, there was a whole section on reverse engineering, and none of my fucking teachers could tell me what the fuck that was. There was a PhD on reverse engineering. Reverse engineering what? The fuck you
A
talking
Well,
about?
it's the
UFO. A UFO.
technology.
That's what the fuck I'm talking about. What's the guy's name? There was a guy that went to not the alleged Area 51. He went to Area Q, or it's an area next to it.
That's Bob
S
Lazar.
Bob
Yeah,
Lazar.
he's a fraud.
I don't know if he is. I don't. I like your counter arguments, but I don't think he is, dude. I don't think he is. And I can't elaborate. I'm not going to elaborate on the recorded space or on the internet on why I don't think he is. But let's just say I've been around a couple things, or I've seen a thing or two. That's all I can say. I don't think he is. And
I got my personal opinions about that guy. I think he may have worked at Area
no, he never worked
Mm-hmm.
at Area 51. He worked at S4.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, S4, but he said he went to he said he got dropped off at Area 51 and he
Mm-hmm.
was transferred
Mm-hmm.
to S4.
Mm-hmm.
If you want me to admit it, I think he may have he
Uh-oh, your phone broke up when you were
and
gonna concede to our supernatural conversation. The supernatural conversation clashed with his atheist phone.
I'm a historian, and I look at things a certain way. And the way I look at it, I look back to my childhood at MIT, my dream school back in the day, and I nobody could answer. Nobody could do it. I went to a fancy ass high school. My dad made sacrifices to put me and my sister in a PWI fancy high school. And none of these fancy ass science teachers with their PhDs and EDDs could tell me what the fuck reverse engineering is. And you know what? When I got to college, that get on www.mit.edu. It disappeared. It's no longer there.
Was was it a class?
No, it was a PhD program in reverse engineering on their
Okay.
on their fucking
But
website.
but couldn't you be reverse engineering some couldn't they just give you something that's made by earthlings?
Really?
Yeah, like the Chinese are masters of reverse engineering.
Really?
Yeah.
No, no. At
nah, that's not
MIT.
true. They can't
MIT.
make anything below 7 nanometers.
I'm playing devil's advocate.
MIT wanting. That's just called engineering. That's just engineering. When you find some shit that another person made, you just take that shit apart. I used to do that when I was a little boy. I find a radio, I get a screwdriver, and that shit was on. Somebody was gonna get shocked, and it may have been me, but I'm gonna find out how that motherfucker works. That's just engineering. Reverse engineering is when you find something you don't fucking understand. Now, why wouldn't you understand it? Is a question. By oh, holy shit, god damn, this dude's an asshole. I'm on the road, and
Because it looks like aluminum foil and it's only 1 pound, but it's a total um spaceship.
yeah, Bob Lazar.
But it'll stop bullets.
Oh boy.
I'm not gonna say everything I know on a fucking recorded space. I will tell you this: Graham Hancock talked about geometry, and there are secret societies. Y'all know what I'm talking about. I'm not gonna say their name. That are based all in geometry. Let's leave that there. Graham and I forget the guy's name. Carl. I can't remember. He's a geologist, real brilliant guy. But they said that this guy, God dang it, I want his name. Carl, white guy, a geologist. Well, he said that he was working with an agency this a couple years ago, and that they were doing reverse engineering. There it goes again on some items they found in the old world in Egypt that were producing energy, producing current based off of geometry. There were no moving parts. Just
Or like they say that
Oh,
the
for the
pyramids are
obelisk?
a power source.
say what?
Yeah, the
People
pyramids or the
Yeah, there you go.
obelisks. The
There,
obelisks are supposed to be the all crystal and able to transmit energy.
yep, there you go.
so,
Anything you
so they
want to
were
say, Seventh? Oh, go
so
ahead,
they were
active.
communication.
Mm-hmm.
So that would so
Possibly.
that would so that would explain why how these other pyramids around the world are similar if they can communicate through these long distances through the obelisk.
Mm-hmm.
Just piecing this
They
together
just
in my
say,
head.
could you, yeah, they just say, hey, Chichen Itza, can you make one like this one? And then they
And
just
then
do a selfie with it.
and Angkor Wat and then over in Angkor Wat they just went all crazy with it. Oh, watch this. Hold my
Yeah.
beer. Angkor Wat was hold my beer, people.
They were showing
They
out,
did
huh?
make her, they
They
would
would
make her hold it.
that might be where we're really from, always showing out and shit. Y'all fancy with it, huh? Okay.
Oh, you got
Watch
a
this.
oh, you got a pyramid. Look at this shit.
Look
Now
at
they
he
said
said pyramid.
that it had Hindu influences, Buddhist influences, and indigenous influences, but didn't want to say who the indigenous people were. Negritos.
There you go.
Indigenous, that must be that is the most abused word in human history.
Yeah. Facts.
I don't know what it means because when the Hindu people came, they arrived and the Dravidian people had already been there. And they had come from somewhere too. So they weren't indigenous, but they were treating them like you're indigenous and we're gonna, beat you down and make you the bottom caste. So I don't know who was there before the Dravidian people.
Somebody do me a favor and Google what the frequency that matches Mother Earth. It's like I think it's either 7 hertz or 4 hertz. What frequency complete matches planet Earth's natural rhythms? Is it 4 hertz or
7.83
seven
hertz.
point eight three? There you go. So let me tell y'all what. Somebody know somewhere. These motherfuckers know what's going on. They're not telling us because they're controlling us. Knowledge is how you control people. You keep knowledge away from folks and let our dumb ass run around in the darkness. And you sit back in the light laughing like, look at this dumbass motherfucker. Well,
Well, they said our circadian rhythm goes exactly with Mars and it's a little bit off here.
right. We'll talk about that in a second. Oh Lord, oh yeah, I'm sorry. Well, anyway, back to, and I'm gonna get. That's the point. Wani brought up a really good point. But back to 7 hertz.
You better pull
Uh,
over and get you some coffee, man.
now I got some energy drinks.
Oh,
This has been an interesting weekend. It's like already fucking Wednesday. It's ridiculous. But anyway, back to the point. The Earth it works at whatever one he said. Seven what?
Eight
Seven
three.
783. Okay,
yeah.
so that same sound. What does 783 sound like? It sounds just like when if y'all ever had a Mac. Well, you know when you turn on an Apple, a Mac, and it goes ah. That's the sound, right? Well, um, where did they learn this? They learned this from the Egyptians in those pyramids. Actually, fuck. Let's stop. Let's call it what it is. That's a European goddamn word. Fuck a pyramid. That don't exist. The Kemites called it the mir, mir. And again, people know about mir. Hold on one second. I got a 18 wheeler being a fucking asshole. God damn. Well, they know
Don't
about.
say that shit too loud. Them 18 wheelers, they take care of everything personal. The 18 wheeler drivers.
Man, I'm like fucking towing I'm trying to follow my wife. She hauling ass in a U-Haul, and I got my little Acura race car towing. I'm towing it on my truck. Like, goddamn, like, give me some respect. But anyway, Mir. That's what the pyramid's name were. Mir. Now, what did it? What's called the space station? Mir. These mothers know everything's going on. Hertz. Um, sound produces energy, free energy.
You break
I'm
it up,
wondering
Doc. Doc,
as
you break it up, Doc.
go ahead and talk.
Did anyone want to say anything?
I want to talk about meerkats since we talking about mere. I'm just
Okay.
playing. I'm just playing.
Did you ever watch Meerkat Manor?
I did watch that show for a little while. Then it got after there's only so many things they can do that keep you interested.
Yeah, they had a whole
And that was that.
social hierarchy.
That is
Yeah,
not
yeah.
true. That was better than Housewives of
Oh
whatever.
yeah. That's not hard to do. Shit, I can watch paint dry.
I can't handle any talk of Desperate Housewives right now. I can't handle it.
Okay, so
Yeah,
let's.
you see, you went out of range and the whole temperature of the room went down. The whole IQ dropped like 25%.
That's funny as hell.
We took it there.
Well, back to what I was saying. I was saying something deeper than a motherfucker, but was trying to survive a 18 wheeler carrying a fucking a fucking a tank full of flammable liquid. I'm like, God damn, this has
I
been the
bet you
worst
it's a
couple days.
Somali. A Somali's gonna be behind the wheel, ain't it? You know.
Angry Somali.
Oh Lord.
That's funny.
Yeah, you don't
Oh
need
shit.
headlights. Got that big old forehead. I got a question.
Oh
So
fuck.
how does this connect to the Pan Africans?
So
Martin Delaney. Okay, yeah, that's
back
right.
back to the hertz. So that's 7 hertz. There's speculation that the pyramids, like Wani was saying earlier, created free energy based off of geometry, right? That geometry makes a sound, seven, whatever the hertz she said. Well, that's the same sound that the Apple computer makes when you turn it on. Ah, that little thing for a split second. And now Honda has like these very efficient cars. They perfected the technology of hybrids and electric vehicles. Listen to the new Honda engine mechanism when it's driving, when it's backing up. It has that 7.83 hertz sound. This sound came from fucking Egypt, man. Ain't nobody stupid. This is reverse engineering.
Now, this is off topic. People were discussing the black wife effect, where all of a sudden the white boy is cutting his hair properly and he can dress. But this has not worked out for Serena Williams. She is suffering from the white husband effect. Now, he should have a tan and better clothes, but instead, she's losing her mind. And I'm
But
not even going to describe anything. She's just losing
Y'all
her
just jealous.
mind.
Y'all just jealous of Serena.
I'm
Y'all
jealous
jealous of the way
because
she
she's
looks.
dating.
but
She's
but I
dating the
think
doughboy. I like
well
her husband's body, and I also like the Pillsbury Doughboy.
so let's talk about that. I honestly think all that negative shit she went through from her childhood until her 20s, until people finally accepted that her body was just fine, that scarred her.
No. Well, go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry. I
That-
apologize. Go
I
ahead.
mean, the whole world is telling you that your body type is ugly, except your own people, obviously. But the rest of the world, the people that you spend most of your time with, because you're in these spaces, are telling you something's wrong with your body. Well, we won't talk about a living color in that, but in any event, the weigh-ins notwithstanding, everybody in the world is telling you there's something wrong with your body type. There's something wrong with your face. There's something wrong with your nose. And you're in these circles and it gets pounded into you over and over and over and over again. I think that scarred her because this was her childhood. This was damn near her whole entire childhood. And then,
How come it didn't happen till after that pasty white boy came
Okay.
along?
There you go. Thank you, Wani. Thank you.
well, I think, but I
I'm
think,
Go ahead.
much.
but we're talking about grooming, right? Well, to my mind,
Hmm.
this is what it went to, right? They see, they s- somebody saw there was a hole in her psyche that they could get in and they could get into and take advantage of it. You know what I mean? And over time, because I think because I'm going to somebody else now, but we saw this when Kanye flipped. Well, we thought he had flipped, and he started telling some truths that nobody wanted to hear. Right? Not I'm not saying that I'm a fan of Hitler. I'm not saying that shit. But he was saying some stuff that nobody wanted to hear. But he had some people had gotten to his psyche after the death of his mother. That was the hole that they needed to slide into his being. Does that make sense?
It does. Like trauma is how you program people.
Yeah,
Unfortunately,
yeah,
that's why in the
yeah. And this
military,
is
when you're in basic training, they
yeah,
fucking
they
traumatize
boy,
you.
that's some traumatizing shit.
And lack of sleep
That
is
is
the
for
main
sure.
thing. Lack of sleep, you're trauma.
Oh
Yep.
yeah, sleep deprivation is a motherfucker. Yes, sir. And I
No,
and
that's
I think,
for sure.
huh? What's that?
It's torture. I was agreeing with you.
Yeah. It is torture. Yep,
Yeah,
yep. But
I did Marine Corps basic training in Paris Island, and shit, by fucking, I was hallucinating at a certain point. Like it just like fucking like real talk, hearing voices and shit. Like sleep deprivation is dangerous, but it's effective because you get indoctrinated, you get programmed.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And I think I think what we're seeing is we're seeing a lot of people that were programmed in one way or another. And I think some of the shit from the Diddy parties was programming to a degree that we're hearing about because I mean, some people know that rape is a control, right? Rape is a way to, I'm sorry, I should have said trigger warning. I apologize. Um, but that sexual violence is also a way to control somebody.
Actually, I'm
And
glad you said that.
mhm,
Space. I'm gonna warn y'all. Before what we say, the how we say buzzword because we've Nikki's channel has gotten
you
shut
break it up. You
strike.
break it up, brother.
Oh, of course. Just be careful how we say stuff. Because Nikki Channel got a strike from saying something. Some visitor said something, a buzzword, and she got a strike on her page. That's all.
No, my apologies, but yeah, I think there's a whole lot of we're witnessing. I guess because we're in information age, because we can kind of track these things and put the pieces together as they come in over time. You know how people are controlled and how things fall together over time, and how people change their tune at certain times. How information slips out and all this stuff is I can't say that it's all coordinated, but it's all controlled. Does that make sense? I'm gonna shut up now. Shit.
No, no, you're making sense. We're dealing with a control apparatus that's unreal. I was talking to one of my colleagues who lives in Memphis, he's a financial advisor, and he was talking about some investments, and he was like, "Such and such investment is going to explode pretty soon. How the fuck does nobody know about it?" And I was like, "Well, because we're all in separate worlds. We've been um enticed to join. Like we're on Twitter right now. Like a lot of stuff that we know on Twitter is like duh, but there are people on Facebook that don't know shit. No, I used to be one of them. I loved Facebook because it was like, let me show off what I'm doing. You know what I'm saying? Look at where I went to school.
Until you get too
You know,
serious, yeah. Then Facebook is useless.
yeah,
Yeah.
Oh, no
I
wonder
was one.
no wonder I hated Facebook.
That's what Facebook's about. I mean, I got caught up in that shit when I was in law school. And then now where it backfires on you is when life like tells you to fuck off, like the ups and downs of life. Facebook is fun when things are up, and when things get down, deactivate your account time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
But my point of bringing that up is we've been separated into all different social media vectors, into news vectors, and we're not on the American people are not on the same page. We're all on different pages. You know what I'm saying? We don't know what's going on. I would argue that that's intentional.
So, does anyone want to discuss Pan-Africanists having identity crisis because they basically made up an identity because they don't know anything about Africans?
Well, is Serena Williams a Pan Africanist?
Uh,
That's cold. That's cold, Nikki. That's dirty.
she could at least encourage her husband to get a spray tan.
So now
That
we got
man
a
is
drop squad Serena. We got drop squad
that
Serena. That's
man. Forget her. Let's talk about this pasty-bodied man. He's got the same body as Elon Musk, and they both need to get a tan. Like, what are they doing? They're
but yeah,
outside on boats, and they're still not tanned.
I got a question. So was this a gambit for this white man to get those outstanding genetics into his family? Is that the question?
Well,
Is that
yeah, they said their daughter was gonna be a what you call it? No.
or what?
Yeah,
Said
she named her daughter Olympia.
oh,
Oh,
Yeah, he's trying to
ooh.
get a couple of
So
Olympic
so
champions.
so my man shopping for jeans. That's what we do
Lord,
now.
he
when
needs them,
you're
baby.
when you're a
Is Prince
billionaire,
Harry doing the same thing?
huh?
He needs them jeans bad.
But I don't. But I guess it depends on what you want out of those genes, right? Because I don't think Meghan Markle is, other than being cute. I don't think she's particularly good at anything.
Yeah, but the royal
She's
family, they
good at
got a
being
lot of
cute.
hemophilia.
That's her superpower.
That's true. If you want to get rid of that hemophilia and that slack jaw, yeah, you gotta bring in some new breeding
She's,
stock.
yeah, she's probably, um, you know, just
Best words ever.
not
Slack
white
jaw.
enough. Yeah, she's just
Yeah,
not
that's that.
white
That
enough. She
inbreeding is a
can bring in
motherfucker.
some color without too much color. They have it all planned, trust me.
Slack jaw. You don't know what slack jaw means? A slack jaw implies that you're
Yep.
a sexual deviant.
Oh, I thought it was one of the Habsburgs.
Okay.
No,
Wow.
it
What?
implies
Your
sexual
tongue is hanging out.
deviancy. Yeah, like you just like a fucking weirdo.
Why is her
And you can
husband,
add
why is Serena's
you
husband
can,
always with his shirt off as though anyone needs to see all that?
It
Serena
looks like
likes it.
uncooked bread, right? Bread dough.
Mm,
Oh, that's cold.
he is toe up. This man has bazillions of dollars. Get a personal trainer over there if you want to show us your body.
Well, we forget why men get those nice bodies, right? We forget why, right? They get to get
He
the woman
had a
that.
dad bod when he was 12.
Yeah, but I'm saying, but he got money. He don't need a dad bod. That's better than going to the gym. He got loot.
Oh, what's that lady that made Harry Potter? Oh,
J.R.
J.K. J.K.
Rowling.
J.R.
Rowling.
Rowling,
Yeah,
J.K. Rowling.
yeah.
J.K.
She
Rowling. Yeah.
said that Serena had a very nice body. So not everyone thought that Serena wasn't built like a brick house. We have songs about that body.
I
Speaking
have
about
dreams
Pan
about that
Africanists
body.
being ops. Speaking of Pan Africans being ops, government ops. I read that J.R. What's her name? J.R. Rowling.
J.K.
She was a government op. J.K. Rowling. Yeah, she's a government op from MK. What MI6?
Why?
How so late? Okay. Thank you for asking. She was. I read that she was allegedly hired by MI6 to spread a narrative that showed uh children of like black children in subservient roles, like that whole Harry Potter ism. Where are the black characters? Now I don't know if this is true or not, but the article I read was pretty spot. It sounded fucking accurate. It sounded like she was hired by MI6 to spread a narrative that only a certain group of children have magical powers. Thereby, only a certain group of children are worthy. The whole Noam Chomsky ism of worthy victims, unworthy
Fuck Noam
victims. You
Chomsky.
know,
I just want to put that out there. Sorry.
but well, yeah, I'm not a fan. I mean, I'm pretty sure he don't give a shit about black people because he never mentions us. But
Yeah,
I like his
yeah, he
theories.
was anti-reparations out the gate, so fuck him. I used to be a fan.
What did he say about reparations?
If I remember correctly, because we covered this on Reset Race, because him and Richard Wolff, all these Marxist dudes, came out of nowhere were like, well, reparations is more or less it's pie in the sky shit. We need to concentrate on the working class and taking care of them as if we're not part of the working class or the biggest labor dispute in human history. Like that. I'm like, what the fuck? What do you mean no working class? There is no working class in America without us.
His voice.
Now you
That
was
whole class. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say you were
That
saying
class.
you was, hold on. You're breaking up, but did you finish?
Mountains got his ass. You're out, Professor.
Yeah, I'm in the
At least
mountains. So
I
I'll be.
can't hear
He's
him.
in the
Go ahead. Y'all.
matrix.
Okay, he was saying that Harry Potter didn't have any black characters. Is that was a comment?
Yes. What?
Initially, no substantial black characters.
Do they need
And said, I'm gonna write some fantasy books, and became the richest woman to ever do that. maybe one of the richest women ever. And this article may have just been fucking hating on her, but it was interesting.
No, I was just
You know,
wondering because, that kind of is annoying when people have something that they want to produce and it really doesn't have anything to do with modern migration patterns. I don't know why we can't like things unless it has a black person in it. Or how about this? Just don't watch it.
exactly. That's that whole Democrat argument.
Because I
If you don't,
I watch movies from all over the world, and believe me, I mean, my cousin said watch some movies, and I was like, it has subtitles. I'm not reading a movie. And she was like, oh my God, you're a Philistine. And then I started I started looking at foreign film, and I never looked back. There's some really good movies, and it doesn't have to, I don't have to be in it. It's a Korean film. I don't have to see me in there. It's a good
facts.
movie. I mean, the story is the story. Why do we have this thing where it has to have us in it? It's really annoying because some of these
Un-
things are not about us. It's about whatever their little setting is. And like there was a show in the BBC called Midsummer Murders. And the way it was written, it was kind of like this idyllic village where, and it was set modern, but it still felt like it wasn't modern. And all of these Africans insisted upon, they actually ruined the show because they were like, put me in the show, you're racist, and then blah, blah, blah. And they stuck out like a sore thumb because it's not about Africans or Black Americans or anyone. It's about the debauchery and the murder and the backstabbing of people in the UK. It's
they
not
got Game of
about
Thrones.
Indians. It's not about Arabs. It's not about us. So that's why this um need to be in every movie. It's like why? Is it low self-esteem? I don't feel put out if I watch a movie that doesn't represent me. I had plenty of black dolls. I heard people complaining they couldn't find black dolls in the 2020s. Like, where do you live?
So Wani, I guess we're kind of off center now, but I got a question. Does it
Yes.
feel like doesn't it feel like the Black Brits are trying to do a version of us? You know what I mean?
What do you
As
mean?
like the way they try to force themselves into everything, even though their contribution is relatively limited up until well in the modern era. Like I'm not going to go into
Well, the difference between us and the Brits, number one, we created one of the parts that make the film projector work. Lewis Latimer again strikes again with Thomas
he's
Edison,
a
with the Thomas
beast.
Edison Company.
Hmm.
Um, so we were filmed. They were running around filming us. So they were going to film us whether we wanted to be filmed or not. So what we were trying to do is say, well, if you're going to film us, because Edison and Berlinger were not making disrespectful films. They were filming us in a positive light. But then, of course, the negative part comes, and then they start doing the, you know, um, watermelon and banjo type stuff. They start filming us in disrespectful ways, and we've been fighting to try to change the way that we're depicted in these productions. So it's not like we weren't on in the movies. We just wanted to make sure how we were in the movies. Now these people, they don't have anything to do with Hollywood. They didn't open up the western frontier so there could be a west coast. They have nothing to do with nothing. Okay, they have nothing to do with Hollywood. They have nothing to do with the West Coast. They are just completely sore thumbs. They don't have anything to do with the BBC. They don't have anything to do with um, the Royal Academy acting. Nothing. They're just sore thumbs running around making everybody angry with us because they keep shoving their face on everything. They want to play Queen Elizabeth. They want to play Romeo and Juliet. And they don't want to look cute while they do it. They want to look like Cynthia Erivo. I mean, no, sit down. Stop playing everything. And they want to put her on there because she is the exactly what white women want us to look like. That's what they want. No eyebrows, crazy as fuck looking, gay, fucked up, and a complete disaster. Okay, laying up with a woman all over her pictures. That's what they want. Okay, they're happy. And I don't want that. So I'm not going to like them. I don't want to see their face on nothing. If I want to see you, I'll look at Nollywood.
I ain't like nothing from Nollywood on Netflix. Nothing.
It's all warfare, ladies and gentlemen. All warfare. That's what Wani just brought out.
But I think on that front, I think we're turning the tide. I think we're what does Professor Black Truth say? When we fight, we win. Now that we're in the fight, the tide is turning.
Yeah, because we're taking control of our own narrative, and we've been gaslit into certain narratives for a very long time, and we're finally just standing up and saying, "Hey, this is us," and that right there is breaking the spell.
I think also a lot of it has to do with the fact that the baby boomers are dying off and they're getting out of the way and stop being an obstruction.
Oh, absolutely. There was a study done on baby boomers a couple months ago that showed that baby boomers are not letting go of their houses. Matter of fact, if anything, baby boomers are getting bigger houses to compete with the millennial children, because a house is such a novelty now that it's a point of power. So baby boomers aren't, saying, "Hey, let me sell my house and make sure that a millennial with a 3-year-old daughter can have somewhere to stay at a reasonable price." They're like, "Hell no, I ain't giving up my house. Matter of fact, I'm gonna get a bigger one to show off to my children." Girl, why can't you get a house like me? I've heard that shit so many times. I've heard
My
all
mom
you need,
did the same thing.
That's
man.
She
wild. My
has a
parents did the opposite.
she bought a 4,000 square foot house.
showing off, man. But the baby boomers are, and I get in trouble for saying this. Baby boomers bought the hype. The baby boomers, if we want to be historical about it, the baby boomers inherited the sacrifice of the greatest generation. Every generation is responsible for the advancement of the next one, and we got fucked over. I'm an early millennial, but the Gen Xers, well, I would say the later Gen Xers and the millennials got fucked, and Gen Z got fucked over by the baby boomers because the baby boomers had parents who were willing to make sacrifices. Dr. King made sacrifices. So, because of Dr. King's sacrifice and Malcolm X's sacrifice, you had schools admitting foundational Black Americans for the first time. You had jobs allowing, you had foundational Black Americans getting loans on homes at a cheap price. So, what I'm trying to say is baby boomers came in at a time that don't exist anymore and hadn't existed since my generation has been fucking an adult. It didn't exist. You know what I'm saying? I got Gen Xer cousins who got $1 million homes, like $720,000 homes, and they're school teachers. I'm like, how the fuck did you get that? Well, in 1997, you could get a reasonable loan on a house. You know what I'm saying? Now you can't. They want to make sure you don't have student loans. They want to make sure you have like a damn near 800 credit score. Like, it's just a different game for us. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of us are just like checked out. You know what I'm saying? But back to the point of what the gentleman brought up. Baby boomers inherited the sacrifice that the greatest generation did, and then they turned around and told most of us, like they told me, and I think they told Seven, if I heard them correctly, you need to get it like I got it.
Mhm.
When you didn't get it, motherfucker. Dr. King gave it to you.
That's exactly what they do. And they don't want to let go of those houses. I'm dealing with one of those now. Um, she's like 80 some years old, and her daughter and son are like, you need to, you can't take care of the house anymore. She's like, nope, not leaving. I guess she'll go out feet first.
Yeah, but I get that. Well, look, like my parents, they. I grew up in the Northeast, right? And my father retired. My parents moved back to Atlanta, where my father's from, and they sold the house in the Northeast and came down here and bought a smaller house. Well, I guess in square feet is probably comparable, but they made a massive profit as far as house for house is concerned. And that was supposed to be a starter house for them here in the South, and then advance to something bigger. But they like you said, you know what? We're just gonna get older, and getting a bigger house at this point in our lives doesn't make any sense. So now they made that massive profit from moving from buying a home from selling a home in the North to the South, and now they're sitting on a house that's worth like 7 times as much as it was 30 years ago. I got to applaud my parents for that.
It was a good move. But my generation, we can't find house. Like Wani said, we can't find houses. And let me tell you, let me speak truth to power on another issue. Not only are the baby boomers not giving up on houses, they're not walking away from their jobs. They're not fucking retiring. In higher education, a lot of our college administrators pull in 120, 220. I mean, one of my head administrators at this little bitty college, I taught at in Tennessee, the black college. How to and she wasn't even a top administrator. She pulling 220. How you making $220,000 and we only got a year and we only got like fucking 400 students? Come on now. Well, anyway, these baby boomers are not walking away from these jobs. They will die on these jobs, man.
Same in the
And I
government.
got
Same thing
some
in
of
the
my home.
government. Same thing.
You beat me to it. I was gonna say my homeboys work in the federal government. And my homeboys are trying to get, up their GS level. They want to get into management, you know what I'm saying, level. And they say baby boomers are dying off. I mean, they will not, they're 80 years old as GS 14s and shit. They're 85 years old and will not, some of them, they got to force them to retire. That shit ain't cool because the baby boomers' whole identity is around their house and their job. And really, that's where we got that bullshit from. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, I digress. Hopefully, I'm not being negative, y'all. I've had an interesting several days.
No, you right. I mean, it's stuff we got to tackle. I mean, of course, the baby boomers are leaving here. I'm dealing with some parents that are in their 80s or late 70s. To be fair, and they get ready to get on out of here, and trying to get them to adapt and kind of, okay, you can't take care, even though this house is small, you can't take care of it like you used to. And having workers coming in and out of here or doing stuff is not optimal unless one of us is around, one of the children or grandchildren is around. It's time to make some decisions, and these decisions are difficult.
Oh, yeah, family. Yeah, family. It's hard.
Yeah, folks don't want to give up their autonomy, and even if they can't handle that autonomy anymore, they don't want to give it up, and I sort of understand that.
Well, when it comes to a point where they're gonna burn the house down, and kill themselves, you gotta make it. You gotta step in.
Yeah, absolutely. We're not quite there yet, but yeah, I agree 100%.
I had to do that with my aunt June, who raised me. She just got to a point in her 80s where she lost it, and it was very painful to have to do that because I mean these people are like your heroes.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But I think,
They watched.
mhm.
Go ahead.
No, but I think in this situation, for me, I think as long as they're both still alive, and I think my brother's 60,
Around how long?
a little over 60 years,
Six
six
zero.
zero, yeah.
Wow. Well, they say sometimes when spouses die, the other one follows, and I've seen this happen a whole lot. Like when a wife dies or a husband dies, like the other one's not far behind. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
that's
It's a
true.
weird type
That's
of.
true. My grandparents went like that within a year of each other. Yeah.
I don't know if you know what I'm saying. In those cases, they just give up living. I don't know what that
Well, they
is.
say it's sort of like a there's this thing there's a group memory. So like when people marry for a long time, they get a divorce, or one of them dies, and they go to and in the case of a divorce, they go their separate ways. There is so many
Hmm.
gaps that that other person filled that you don't recognize it until they're gone. You know what I mean? And
Right.
and then once then there's this need to fill those gaps, and they don't know how without feeling the pain of that person missing. Because
That's the fucking
yeah,
that's the fucking hard part about
yeah,
getting married and falling in love with somebody is you really get tethered to them,
mm-hmm,
like on a spiritual
mm-hmm,
level, on an intellectual level, and you know what I'm saying. Oh my god,
yeah,
like it's enough to make you not want to
mm-hmm.
trust anybody anymore.
Yeah.
But that stuff is very real.
I got an older cousin, one of my father's first cousins, who recently passed on, and his wife, they had been together 30, 40 years. They met relatively late in life. They had been together
Uh
30 or
huh.
40 years, and they had been so deeply invested in their roles in that relationship that when his wife passed away, my cousin, when his
He didn't know what to do.
he literally did not know what to do. He had to
Right.
move out of the house, and really he had to start all over again in an apartment. And he had his role, and it was like, okay, I know what to do with my piece of this, but the rest of this, I don't know what to do. And I'm too old to learn these new skills. Fuck it. And that's really how it felt watching him spiral, you know,
Wow.
because he didn't know what to do. When he reached to do those parts that his wife had done, it pained him. I mean, you could see the pain in his face when he had to start doing the things that she had done, because it only reminded him that she was gone. And it was, damn, I'm misting up thinking about them, brother. But yeah, I mean, that's enough for me today. Shit.
Yeah, marriage can be very hard sometimes, but I'm on the road right now, towing in my truck, towing a sports car, watching my wife in a big U-Haul that she's not comfortable driving, going 70 miles an hour in Mississippi, heading to Atlanta, and she just texted me while you were talking, saying, "Hey, you want to come in front of me so I make sure that your truck is okay and and that the chains on your car are not sparking." And then instantly every argument you had just kind of melts away. It's it's like fuck. Like, you know what? You know, relationships, like, marriage is a very powerful thing, very difficult. And you know what? It's not marriage, it's family, cuz family's real hard.
Yeah, keeping family together is hard work. It is hard work.
Yeah, oh man, it's something, it makes you. And I'm kind of like a loner type. I
I'm the same.
never thought I was gonna get married. Never, 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 never. My wife came and started like fucking with me. She's like, "Ooh, what do you do?" And I was like, "I'm a law student." She's like, "Ooh, I need a good attorney. Can I have your number?" Like, hey man, I used to have some man. I used to shit. I have a lot of problems, but one problem I ain't never had was women problems. I still don't have women problems. But I used to have less women problems. But that's one thing. That's one thing I don't really front for.
Oh, I guess Tariq started his space, so I guess everybody's over there now.
Oh, did Tariq start his
Yeah,
space?
he started his space.
Oh, shit. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I gotta hear what Tariq and them talking about. I enjoyed
Good night.
y'all. Oh shit, that's funny as hell.